versatile Islamic financial instruments, one from the commercial sector and the other from the social sector, to promote a very sustainable financial source, funding source for development. And I think certainly this requires a very critical look, whatever needs to be done to encourage regulators to provide enabling environment for these instruments to thrive. We all need to do it. Thank you very much. And hopefully now we can quickly go to question and answer session. How much time do we need for that? Okay, that's a good idea. It's a very good idea. Okay, it has been suggested that we just take the last presentation and then pull together all our questions, our remarks together so that we can wind up at the same time. So it is my pleasure to invite the indefatigable chairman of AZAWON and Dr. Ishola to present their paper on saliu Waqf ta hanyar ƙungiyoyin taimakon kai da kai, Cooperative Waqf model. So is it in Hausa or in English?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والسلام على رسول الله. We give thanks to Almighty Allah for another opportunity this year at the AZAWON conference. Now, I'm waiting for the slide. The title of my presentation is Cooperative Waqf Model, Perspectives, Issues, and Prospects within the Nigerian legal context. Why I have limited the scope to the Nigerian legal context is because, as we are going to see, we see that the cooperative Waqf model is being practiced in different variations across the globe. So let's narrow it down to how it's going to be practicalized in Nigeria. And I've divided my presentation into 5 or 4. Introduction, then we look at the cooperative Waqf in concept and context. Then we come down to the Nigerian context where I raise a query whether we can legally talk of cooperative Waqf in Nigeria, or rather we call it collaborative Waqf, as we are going to see, given the Nigerian legal setup. Then I make some recommendations, which is also going to be directed at AZAWON, as we see. Next slide. As we are aware, globally Waqf has continued to attract interest as a social problem-solving instrument. This is very glad to know. And solutions to the inherent challenges within the Waqf sector also sought from Waqf. So unlike other sectors that will be looking, like we have talked of Sukuk now, Sukuk is still trying to borrow from Waqf. And as Professor Adam has said, that is why we need to do more in emphasizing on Waqf and not just focusing on the Zakat alone. We welcome our father, the Emir of Adegia, who is just joining us now. Just some few back. The topic I'm presenting on is cooperative Waqf model, perspective, issues, and prospect within the Nigerian legal context. Now, if you look at the global trend, we see that Waqf is being employed as a social problem-solving instrument. And one interesting thing is that, like any other sector, Waqf also has its own inherent challenges. But in addressing its own problem, Waqf does not look out at other sectors. It addresses its own problem by using its own parameters. And this is because innovation is a hallmark trait of Waqf as a product of ijtihad. Unlike Zakah, in Waqf you have a lot of opportunity to be innovative in whatever you are doing. It may interest us that the cash Waqf linked sukuk, which Professor Adam has just discussed, won the IDB award in 2023 as a product. And that is because of the impact. So if we focus on Waqf and we develop products, we can also aspire to win an IDB award in Nigeria. So as there are needs for the use of Waqf for solutions, there are rooms for innovative Waqf products. And integration of cooperative scheme with Waqf remains a notable development. One other innovation that is in trend now, we have talked of the sukuk being linked to Waqf. Another aspect that is being looked at is the aspect of integrating cooperative concept to the Waqf. Yet, the concept and context of cooperative Waqf remains different from one jurisdiction to another. There was a time our chairman sent me a material on a particular cooperative Waqf being practiced in Malaysia. When I look at that structure and the way they are doing, I just replied to the chairman that, Mr. Chairman, this thing they are calling cooperative Waqf in Malaysia may not qualify as a cooperative Waqf in Nigeria. So that is why we have to situate this concept of cooperative Waqf within our own Nigerian law. Therefore, this presentation examines cooperative Waqf model within the Nigerian legal context, and the findings reveal two options in implementing the model in the country without legal violations. Now, what is cooperative Waqf? One of the points I want to make is that Islamic finance itself, because unlike now, we always hear Islamic finance and banking, as if banking is not part of Islamic finance. Those in banking, they promoted their banking sector so much that in the years back, they will always say Islamic finance and banking, as if banking is not. So in Islamic finance, it's divided into two. Next slide, please. We have the Islamic commercial finance, where their own focus is making profit. And that is why you cannot be talking of anything other than something that will bring profit with banks like Jaiz Bank and SunTrust, all those Islamic banks. Then we have Islamic social finance. And this is the area where the Waqf falls. Then Islamic cooperative itself is an Islamic social finance sector. This is one of the things that we need to pay attention to, but it's usually neglected. And that is why when people are discussing Islamic finance, they don't usually talk about Islamic cooperative. The Islamic social finance itself is divided into two. These are my own analysis based on the research I've done, that Islamic social finance itself is divided into two. We have the pure Islamic social finance. And this includes Waqf and others which I'm going to spell out, while we have hybrid Islamic social finance, where they are combining social as well as economic interest. Like Islamic microfinance, they are out to make profit, but more than profit, they want to make impact on the society. Then Islamic micro empowerment is another scheme. I don't know, for those of us who came from the south, we have some non-Sharia compliant institutions which are engaged in microfinance empowerment, such as SIP. You know SIP? We know LAPO. There's other one. All these ones, they are microfinance. So Islamic version of them is what we refer to as Islamic micro empowerment, and it's under the hybrid sector, which we have not even explored so much. I only know one of institutions that is using the Islamic micro empowerment in carrying out their services. Then Takaful is also an hybrid Islamic social finance, even though some people do categorize it under Islamic commercial finance. While Takaful are not primarily out to make profit, so to say, but rather they want to render social service, and through it they also make a profit, and that is why they are categorized under the hybrid Islamic social finance. Next slide. So other pure Islamic social finance sectors include Zakah, Waqf, Miraf, Wasiya, Hibba, and Hadiya, Corridor Hassan, Nafaqah, Sadaqah, and Tabaru'at. So these are pure, because the donors or the contributors is not expecting any reward. It's not expecting any kickback from whatever that is done in that regard. Now, the cooperative Waqf as a concept, cooperative means the state of cooperating in doing something or avoiding sin, but which is something good. Because in law, if you are cooperating to do something bad, we not call it cooperative. We are saying you are undergoing conspiracy. And conspiracy is an offense under the law. It's a criminal offense. So you only cooperate on good things. When you cooperate on good things is when we say you are cooperating. In the Quran, we have وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ, which means the Quran itself wants us to promote cooperative and not conspiracy. So other synonyms of the word cooperative are mutual, communal, collaborative, collective, shared, and so on. And cooperative technically means a scheme where a group of people of common interest form themselves into an association for the purpose of promoting their economic and social interest. By law and international standard, such associations are known not just as cooperative, you refer to them as cooperative societies. Now, what is cooperative Waqf generally? It's a system of communal or community-based Waqf, according to Magda Mohsin in his book, Cash Waqf, where he identified cooperative as a model of cash Waqf. And it's a dimension of group or joint Waqf Jama'i, because in Waqf, an individual can do Waqf, and a group of people can come together to do Waqf. So such Waqf that is done as a group is what we refer to as a cooperative Waqf. Generally, it is considered as a cash Waqf model. That is, it's a means by which we can implement cash Waqf. But I disagree with that view. Because to me, I consider Cooperative Waqf as a Waqf product development tool. That is, a lot of products of Waqf that we can develop if we use the concept of cooperative and not just a model for the implementation of cash Waqf. So for that reason, we can employ Cooperative Waqf to implement cash Waqf, which is monetary Waqf, or to implement Waqf cash, which is monetized Waqf. There is a difference between monetary Waqf and monetized Waqf. In monetary Waqf, the mawquf itself is the cash, the money made available. While in monetized Waqf, you donate money, you collect money, but the end result is not that cash, but rather you use the cash to put in place a particular project as Waqf. Then property Waqf, service Waqf. For instance, if you have a health center Waqf now, those who are medical doctors can also cooperate to contribute their service as Waqf in order to make that center, health center, operative. So this is what is called service Waqf, and we can also use the concept of cooperative to achieve this. Then the cooperative Waqf that we can develop can be permanent or temporary, as we are going to see. Now, like I said, if you look at one country or the other, they practice the cooperative Waqf in different variations. But generally, as we have mentioned, it's a kind of a joint Waqf involving 2 or more Waqf donors. Then it is a Waqf product development. But one of the earliest application of this concept of cooperative Waqf was seen in the country known as Uzbekistan, where they introduced a decentralized Waqf system in 1992, which was a form of public Waqf promoted by the government, and it is district-based, managed by each district. Just like we have in Nigeria now, we have some districts. So for each of the districts, they can float their cooperative Waqf, where they will mobilize cash as Waqf and use for provision of basic needs. For instance, if you go to villages, we'll be complaining that they don't have water. Through cooperative Waqf, we can assist them to put in place a cooperative Waqf by which they will be able to use such Waqf to finance their basic needs. And the problem of saying the government is not attending to them will not be there. So this is what is done in Uzbekistan. And citizens themselves are the Waqf donors. So the cash that is collected, they invested it, and the return of the investment it was used to for provision of basic amenities. Then there is also Nigerian variants and Malaysia variants. I'm going to skip the Malaysia variant because I know the chairman is going to talk more on that. So now let's now look on the practical application of the context in Nigeria. In Nigeria, the usage of the term cooperative is legally restricted to registered cooperative societies. This is one of the legal framework. There are some terminology that we cannot use freely under the law. You cannot use takaful, you cannot use bank, you cannot use pension. All these cannot be used freely under the Nigerian law. The same thing with cooperative. It is illegal for any cooperative society not to include the word cooperative or its translation in any native language in its name. In Yoruba, such association which may not want to use cooperative in English, they call them alajeseku. I don't know what they call them in Hausa because I don't understand Hausa. So it is a criminal offense for any organization, association, or body or scheme to use the word cooperative in its name when it is not duly registered as a cooperative society. So you can see the reason why I said whether we can actually talk of cooperative Waqf in Nigeria or not. Because if you are using cooperative, it means you have registered it as a cooperative society. So therefore, I propose two models of cooperative Waqf in Nigeria. It's either we implement it as a model of cooperative society or collaborative model. And we are going to see the differences between them now. Under the cooperative model, that is cooperative society model, is going to be institutionalized and it will be formal and corporate and it will enjoy sustainability because there is perpetual succession for every cooperative society. While that of the collaborative, we give us the opportunity either to make it institutionalized or we practice it in an informal way, and it's not necessary that it must be a corporate practice of a cooperative Waqf, but all the same, we must ensure that the structure is sustainable. Now, the cooperative society model in Nigeria, how do we implement it? Number one, the cooperative society itself will be the mutawali of the Waqf. The members or non-members will be the donors. Members or non-members will also be the beneficiaries. It depends on the arrangement we make. Time will not permit me to elaborate much. Then there will be a kind of a partnership with an Islamic bank, which will be the fund custodian or investment manager. Then there must be Sharia compliance provision. Then we can now develop different Waqf products for implementation. And under this, we can achieve this through two dimensions. According to the law, all these things that I'm saying, they are in accordance with what the law recognizes. We have the non-member deposit dimension and the contract-based dimension. Under the law, cooperative transactions are expected to be between the cooperative society and its members alone. But the law also recognizes that there will be some good wishers of cooperative who are regarded as the friends of the cooperative society. So there is provision that such friends of the cooperative society can make money available to this cooperative for loan, or they make it available as deposit. But when we look at the provision of the law, those who make the money available as loan are expecting return in form of interest, which is not going to be Sharia compliant. And that is why we go for the deposit, non-member deposit approach. So let's look at the non-member deposit model. Please, next slide. So as we can see, we have the non-member depositor, which will be the cash Waqf proprietors. So they will create depositors cash Waqf fund, which will be deposited with Islamic Cooperative Society. And that fund will now be for interest-free loan, Corridor Hassan. Maybe 30% of the fund will be used for interest-free loan, while 70% of it will be invested. And the return of the investment will now be what we now use for the Waqf beneficiaries. So one of the advantages is that the cooperative society will have all the documentation of the members, and there will be minimum challenge of running away with the fund in a way. Next slide. And also we have the Wakala, the kind of contract-based dimension, where we use Wakala or Mudoraba. And here, the cooperative society will have a kind of a commercial contract with the Waqf proprietor. They will make the fund available to them to invest and manage the fund as the Mudori, while the Waqf proprietor or the Waqf fund will now be the Rabbul Mal. So we have analyzed how they will share a kind of proposal that the 40% of the return will go to the cooperative society, while the 60% will go to the Waqf fund, and then it will be used for the beneficiaries. Recommendations. Number one, I want to please go to the recommendations. Number one, we should begin to think and pay attention to different dimensions in which cooperative Waqf can be used for Waqf products. Like, I suggest that we could have a kind of a Waqf, cooperative Waqf, where we call Friends for Paradise. Because in the Quran, it's emphasized that so many friends will be enemies of each other in the hereafter. So one of the ways by which you can make provision to be friends in paradise is by floating a kind of cooperative Waqf. Then family cooperative Waqf can also be done. Widows cooperative Waqf. If we look at this, we'll be able to mobilize widows. The way I project that we can implement this widows cooperative Waqf is that if I know one or two widows, instead of giving them money, the money you want to give them, you can make it as Waqf with a particular cooperative society. So that the return that is now coming from it will now be given to such widows that you have identified as the beneficiaries of the Waqf. Or if such funds are invested and the return is coming, then we will be able to spend it on such widows. One, those widows will also be members of the cooperative. So they will know what is going on in the cooperative society. And in supporting, financing their businesses, they'll be able to have access to the cooperative fund, which is with the cooperative society. Then most maintenance, we all know the challenges we are facing, is also another product. And my challenge to the AZAWON is that AZAWON should float its own cooperative. Next slide, please. Next. That's part of my recommendation. There is need for AZAWON to float Waqf cooperative society, where the nominal shares will be maybe 1 million, and the value of one share will be 100,000. If you multiply 100,000 by 1 million, I think we are going to get like 1 billion, if I'm not mistaken. So which means the AZAWON can have a Waqf cooperative with nominal capital of 1 billion naira. So the minimum share will be 2, which means any member that wants to subscribe to the shares of the cooperative society will have to subscribe to at least 2 shares minimum. Then the membership of the cooperative will be AZAWON organization members. Next slide. AZAWON organization members, then interested corporate or individuals can also be members, because they will know they want to subscribe to a kind of shares which will be Waqf with AZAWON cooperative society as the manager. Then the AGM of the cooperative can be at annual AZAWON conference like this. Then the Waqf beneficiary will be AZAWON conference itself, so that subsequently the AZAWON itself can look forward towards being able to finance its own conference and other activities. Then when members are in distress, like recently one of our members had the inferno experience with fire outbreak affecting their setup and all that. So if you have such a cooperative Waqf, we can easily support such members. And finally, I emphasize on education and certification in Waqf. This is very, very important. And for those who are just starting, we now have some free Waqf training that you can attend, and those that you can pay for, and I've identified some of them. Please go back. One is Cooperative South Africa. Cooperative South Africa, they have free online Waqf. It's a very good starting training for anybody who wants to go into Waqf. So you can go and access it and look at it. Then You should also have, we also have Sawoni, which is a kind of a university belonging to the World Zakat and Waqf Forum. So they are doing diploma in Waqf training. I know a number of people here who have undergone that training. Then on our own part, we have Islamic Cooperative Society, because we are talking of Cooperative Waqf. You also need training in Islamic Cooperative. So I will recommend our own institution in Ilorin for you, Islamic Cooperative Training as Tawakkul Institute of Corporate and Cooperative Studies in Ilorin. We give virtual and physical training. Then we also have Waqf. You can also have Waqf training at AZAWON Waqf Academy. We have a particular training that we give where we have had participants even from different parts of the country, of the world. I was happy that we even have somebody who participated from Germany, and he was happy that what he was able to get would be useful to him in imparting on the Muslims in Germany. And I'm also aware that Islamic finance training can be undertaken at BUK, at IIB, but I'm not sure whether they have virtual training, because some people have been asking us. I'm happy that the Prof is here, and I'm also not sure. Okay, sir. So the director said there's also virtual in BUK. So these are the things that we can explore so that we have the necessary knowledge in order to be able to implement this. Next slide. So this is our academy and the TICCS. So in conclusion, I believe that there's blessing in group works. Uniting upon doing good is encouraged in Islam. Joint Waqf is juridically recognized. Cooperative Waqf model is a trend across the globe. Nigeria has potentials to achieve landmarks through Waqf. I join Professor Adam. Everybody, emphasis should be shifted much more on Waqf. Zakat is something that anybody cannot deny, but we need more emphasis and more orientation on Waqf so that we can explore a lot of potentials which Waqf has to offer us. Any member of AZAWON which has not been promoting Waqf is yet to be on the track. So let's look at that. Either the cooperative society class or the collaborative class can be legally implemented. AZAWON is therefore charged to take a lead in this regard. Thank you very much.